squeezed in. My name's Yolanda Lewis, host of Grown Women Real Talk. So, you think you're ready to be a wife? That's what we're talking about today. Join us. Welcome to Grown Women Real Talk. Today we have some fabulous guests joining us for our conversation. We have Alicia Hurst and Tasha Huff. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having me.
You betcha. I'm glad you're here. Okay, ladies, so let's talk. Today we're talking about whether or not women are really ready to be wives. They think they are, right?
Right.
They think they are, but do they really know?
I
don't think they really know either. No.
Not at all.
So, with the first question, I want to ask you guys, what do you think women lack in terms of getting ready? What is it that they're missing?
I think it will start with privacy.
That's good. Talk to me about that.
Privacy, because we're still the single mindset sometimes, but we still want to keep our phones sometimes, and not that anything could be gone, but just that privacy area, we don't really want to let you in all the way like that.
That's very interesting, because when you say privacy, really what we're talking about is intimacy and building. That's kind of like the offset to that intimacy and building intimacy in a relationship. So Tasha, let me ask you this: how important is intimacy in a marriage and getting ready to be a wife? You know, how important is that?
It's very important, because you need to show that individual that you love them and that you're sharing a part of yourself to them. And so you have to be vulnerable and transparent to that individual. So I think it's very important to have intimacy with yourself first.
Yes.
To be transparent, because sometimes we think we are, transparent, but with ourselves, we need to become transparent with ourselves so we can release ourselves to our mates, or what have you. And a lot of times, women are holding that emotional baggage from past relationships or mistakes that happened in the past, and they have that shame and that guilt from the past. But once you release that emotional baggage, you are able to give more intimacy to your mate. And I think sometimes we as women can struggle with that.
Absolutely. Tell me about some of the ways women struggle with that. You brought out all the right points, and I love that you said that, especially the part about carrying in that emotional baggage. So women, sometimes what I've found in my experience in coaching and working with women, and you guys, I want you to tell me what you've found as well. But what happens is they think because they have the house, they have the car, they have the good job, or the nice, the grand business, and everything is doing well in those areas, they forget and maybe even neglect some of the other areas that might be not more important, but just as important in developing you as a person. So you touched on some of them, that emotional baggage. Tell me more about what you think women experience with trying to get over that emotional baggage in order to prepare themselves to really be a wife.
I think how I learned really, my past relationship was a domestic violence situation. So I had to take time to humble myself. I really had to learn who I was and want to work on myself. My anger, things that made me scared. I didn't feel safe sometimes. And I really had to want to just humble myself, being calm, and then be willing and allowing somebody to get that love, to give it to me. I had to really learn that with my husband. It still takes time. Even in that relationship, into your marriage, it just takes a lot of just talking, communication, and allowing to share your story with someone. If you don't share your story, it hinders the relationship because they don't know that you shut the door really hard and it scared me. You have to be able to be open in your relationship.
And as you mentioned before, keeping it private. I think some of that intimacy and building that intimacy and creating that level of intimacy comes with being able to share that secret, because you're going to spend the rest of your life with that person. And so you need to be able to communicate with them. But before you get to that place, you have to be able to do that within yourself. Would you agree?
You got
to do the work.
You have to do the work. You have to sit down. What I teach ladies that come to me for coaching is I teach them that you have to come to a place of healing Right. And once you come to that place of healing, then you come to that place of wholeness. That means complete within you. Right. And then restoration comes. Right. That means that mate can come. Right. All the things that you want can come. But first you need to allow that healing to take place, then the wholeness, and then the restoration. Right.
Absolutely. Tell me more about that healing. I want to hear from both of you on that, the healing piece, and how you know whether or not you're healed. Because, like you said, if you don't heal those areas that have been wounded and that have been exposed and that have made you very uncomfortable, and maybe even why you left a previous relationship, if those areas aren't healed, you're bringing those same issues, no matter how big your house is, no matter how nice your car is and how much money you have, you're bringing all of that into the new relationship. So how do you know when you're healed? You know, as a single woman thinking I'm ready to be married, I am married. But for the single woman, right, who thinks she's ready to be married or married again, how does she know she's healed?
I think, it kind of started with me as things, I wasn't so sensitive to where if you bother me or say something or come too close to me, that was a man's hand, like you touching me, that would scare me.
Yes.
Wow. I really had to humble myself. I had to be calm, and I had to be able to be like, if you can do this, and I didn't jump.
Right.
I was like that. I recognized that was starting my healing.
Right.
That even if you just get loud to me, I don't feel like you're going to hit me.
Right.
I think that just really started. I started recognizing things. I started doing a lot of praying.
I was going to ask you,
I did a lot of praying.
I
did a lot of praying. Yes. I did a lot of talking. Right. I feel like if you be able to just open yourself to just talk and to express yourself and talk to somebody, a good friend, and a good friend, a good friend.
There's a difference.
A friend that will take the truth.
A good friend to be able to be open up to your friend and letting them know, like, this hurts. Like, I have a problem. Right. Me and my friend, we do a fast.
Right.
Like, 12 o'clock, we don't eat within that time. We wake up until 12 o'clock.
Fast is for us. Yeah.
Between 9, maybe whatever time you get up in the morning, between 12 o'clock, we will not eat within that time. Right. We did that praying before we got up. Right. I did a lot of fasting and a lot of praying and allowing God. Lord, I want to be a wife one day.
Right.
I learned, I watched myself doing things, and it took my neighbor to really let me see that.
Yes.
She would see, she was like, you have 4 kids, your house is clean, you're always happy, you're always happy.
Yeah, we don't think about that.
We don't think that together. I'm just doing it. Yeah. And she was like, when my husband came about, I realized that I was training myself to be a wife. I started really learning how to cook by myself. That by yourself.
I wasn't there when that happened.
That takes that time to yourself. It took me 2 years to really take time by myself. I had to realize who I was first. And then while I was doing my fasting and my praying, I started realizing, and when my neighbor said that, and when my husband came, I was preparing myself for my husband.
It kind of came full circle.
It came full circle.
And made the journey make sense.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Now,
because you can get lost in the sauce, right? In terms of when you're going through, it is sometimes a lonely place.
Yes.
You get to be a robot.
Yeah.
You do.
And that's how I was. Even though I wasn't thinking I was.
Right.
She thinking like, you're being a good mom. I'm like,
I'm so miserable.
I'm just like, but when I started doing my praying and me and my friends started our fasting, Lord started opening things up to me. I started realizing that, this right here hurts. This right here is, this doesn't feel well. I want to work on that. God, heal me in that area. Heal me in that area. And it takes step by step.
And in that healing, and I want Tasha to jump in as well, but in that healing, there's a piece of that that's action, and I want to point that out. So yes, you prayed and you fasted, and as they were revealed, then the action was that you worked on whatever was exposed to you. And I think that's important because I think a lot of times as people, period, man or woman, we find ourselves in a position where we pray and we leave it there, which sometimes is what needs to happen. But there are also times where once we leave it and God reveals exactly what it is that is the truth of the matter, then there's work to be done. There's a practice. There's a a preparation. Like you said, you were preparing to be a wife. You didn't know that because you just thought you had to feed your children. You didn't know you were preparing for a wife because you were already doing the laundry. You was just getting it all together, learning how to keep your house clean, learning how to keep a good atmosphere. Let's talk about that too, because I was at, where was I? I was getting some food one day from a fast food restaurant, which I had no business eating at, right? But I was there getting some food at the restaurant, and the young man said to me, he alluded that he knew I was married. Maybe he saw my ring, what have you. But he said, they don't make women like you anymore. And I was like, oh, well, what do you mean? He said, women my age don't know how to cook, don't know how to clean. They at the club doing this, that, and the third, but they look good. And their body is, they got the waist trainer so tight, they got their stomach near their heart, trying to figure all that out.
But the inside is a mess.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of times people don't recognize, that we put on so many masks.
Oh, my goodness.
We walk around in these facades like everything is okay, but you have to do the work. And by doing the work is you have to have those conversations with God, with your girlfriends, and when they bring things to your attention, you work on them, and you practice doing it over and over again. That means that when someone says something to you that can upset you, instead of you holding a grudge, you say what you have to say and you release it. Then as far as like preparing yourself, cooking or what have you, because what I started doing, because I didn't cook that well, I started going to the internet and look up recipes and try them. And when my husband, he likes to tell this story that when he first met me, he came over and I cooked some macaroni and cheese for him, and the noodles were so hard, the macaroni was so hard, he was like, oh my gosh, but I learned how to cook it. So now guess what? Everybody asks me to make macaroni and cheese because I perfected it because I loved him. And I wanted to make him happy. So there are things that you do the work, but still in preparing, I always kept a clean house. I always made sure my house was a certain way, my kids were a certain way. But I think you just have to sit here and look at those things that you know. I think you have to be honest within yourself. Yolanda shouldn't have to come tell me. Alicia shouldn't have to come. Certain things you already know that you need to work on.
You do.
I was a shopaholic, and I'm still a shopaholic. But my husband knows that about me. But I've learned to do better with my shopping. And other things are more important, like what we don't realize is preparing for your future. And, so you do the financial business of making sure you're secure within yourself, you're secure in a marriage, and then you can be secure when you get older. So you have to start preparing by doing certain things when you're single, but then do it when you're married as well.
I love that. And today, in today's world, single means something different than it used to mean. And I say that because people are, if you look at statistics, less and less people are getting married early. And those who do get married sometimes find themselves in positions of divorce and then remarriage. So talk to me about some of the scenarios that cause women to get into married, divorced, remarried, and that level of singleness. Not singleness as in never got married and, you're figuring out and finding your way, but singleness as in transition. When you've been married before, and whether it's good or bad, it just didn't work out, then you're single. Talk to me about that singleness and how women can prepare for their remarriage. Talk to me about that.
I think everybody loves to point a finger.
Yes.
Everybody loves to point a finger. Well, he didn't do this in my relationship, girl. And this wasn't right.
Say
and
that.
He did, girl. Well, it was like that all day long. You have to really look at, okay, what did I bring to the table? What didn't I do
or
right?
Didn't bring
what
to the
I
table.
Didn't bring to the table. We all want to. Majority of the times, most women, is he got to have this. He has to have a car. He got to have a house. He got to have this.
Where's your list?
What did you bring to the table? And we always want a put together man, but we're not put together.
But we put together on the outside.
Yes, we look good on the outside.
Honey, what?
and the hair is always on
fleek.
But we don't recognize that. We look healthy on the outside, but we're not healthy on the inside. We like to look healthy, but we're not actually healthy.
But see, that's when God needs to come do some surgical on your heart. Because see, the thing is, it's your heart, you know, and what comes out of the heart comes out of the mouth, and it makes a difference. And again, we sit here and we look good on the outside. We're doing all the selfies and everything, but deep down inside, we're still emotionally scarred from the last past relationships or things that happen. You know, physical abuse from parents or spouses or what have you. So we need to work on that instead of looking so good on the outside.
A pinpoint on a lot of women of our color that we have a problem with.
Lipstick.
Yeah.
That mouth. This thing can be so deadly, and we can use it, and we can hurt a man with our
But you know
mouth.
what? But when we do that, we're hurting ourselves.
Because after a while, you're hurting ourselves. I should not have said that. That just came out so wrong, or we meant to say it, and then it hurts later. We have to in that single place, right there.
Let's bring it back to that.
Being in that single, you have to realize. Let me work on my mouth. Because that was a problem that I had. My mama had a mouth. My grandma had a mouth.
You had to give me high five.
I had to really work on this mouth. You don't always have to say something. You don't always have to say something. You don't. Sometimes, baby, you know what? You got it. You got it.
But not. You got it.
Yes.
You got
think he got it.
You think you got it.
It doesn't have to be like that. Be humble. Be able to submit yourself.
Let it go.
Let it go.
You don't have to win every argument.
No, you don't.
You don't have to. Because a lot of times when you just let it be what it is, if in fact he is wrong, he will come to you.
Yes.
He will come to you. Men don't like drama.
They don't.
They don't. They're so simple. They're very simple. And so if the more that you do all of that, mouth and neck popping and attitude where you're shifting the whole atmosphere of the house, the more you do that, the more you close him down and the more he will stay away. And marriage is a lifelong commitment, but you don't want to take a lifetime trying to break through to your mate when really you could just change a couple things with yourself.
Right, and women have to realize they set the tone of their house.
Right.
They set the tone, and so we get to turn that thermostat up or down, and we have to be mindful how we're turning it.
We do.
We
have to realize, even if the house is chaotic, you have kids, and you just like, oh my gosh, the whole house is going to be like, oh my gosh.
Yes, it will.
And when you're calm and you're able to set that atmosphere in your household. That makes a difference. It makes a difference because everybody else is going to be like this. Your husband can be over there just playing the game, being calm, and
playing the game.
My husband is still playing the game, and that is fine, boo.
Yeah, do your thing. That's right. Hey, don't bite my nails.
Watch my show.
Yes, exactly.
Empire's coming on in a minute.
Exactly. Bringing it back to that single place, we talked about the mouth and working on your mouth being a point of or an area to work on in terms of development. Give me one other point, Tasha. Give me one other point that we can work on, that women can work on in that single space. Not the one that hasn't been married before, but after you've been married, went through some things, experienced real life. What other area, one area, do you think women need to work on to prepare them for that remarriage?
For remarriage, to get married again? To basically sit here and just look at yourself and see what is it that because only you know what you need to do. I mean, I could tell you all day, but you know what it is that you need to change. And for me, it was the attitude and the selfishness, you know, because,
that's good.
You know, we can be selfish or what have you. And sometimes I have to catch myself because I can get selfish with my time. You know, because it's about, sometimes I want to be about just me. But I have to remember I have a spouse, so we have to spend time. So I think you have to not be so selfish, you know, with you and with your time. or what have you.
Okay, I agree. Well, ladies, I have had an amazing time chatting with you both.
I did.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You bet. Now, if someone would like to reach you and find out more about what you do, how can they contact you, Alicia?
Thank you, Yolanda. I had a wonderful time.
Oh, you're
today.
so welcome.
You can reach me on all social media outlets, and that's Alicia Hurst. You can also find me on my Instagram, and that's encouraging, uplifting, and empowering.
Outstanding. And Tasha?
Thank you, Yolanda. I had a great time.
Oh, you bet.
You can reach me on all social media outlets through my website at tashahuff.com. That's Tasha, Tashia, Huff, HUFF.com.
Outstanding.